we don't need to be over there. And especially in a situation where you've got two sides of it where both are committing atrocity. And
you are comparing one to the other. Are you serious?
And I think most people just want peace, but even if you say you want peace, if you say you want a ceasefire, folks like Ben Shapiro will say that you're a pro-terrorist.
Mm-hmm. I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
And it was just like some like regular Palestinian guy on a street corner, and he started expressing his opinions on LGBTQ stuff and wokeness. A lot of conservatives would be like, I completely agree with those positions. Then, of course, the guy would say something like throw him off a roof or whatever, something horrifying. And the Trump supporter would be like, yo, bro, what's wrong with you? That's crazy. That's like way too far for us. But so many of these left-wing activists are cheering for a group that, as you all mentioned, would either lock them up for 10 years at the law in Gaza. Being gay is a 10-year prison sentence or something substantially worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, I think a lot of them are definitely uneducated on what goes on in Palestine, but I do understand some of their gripes. And I think that, you talk about the textbook things. I've heard reports of textbooks being infiltrated with Zionist, certain angles. And
name them, name one. Even Google can't find them.
And I'm Jewish, and, I don't want that. I want my, students in my country learning, real truth. And
are you sure about that?
Is when they say, let's not go to Ukraine, quit sending my lunch money to Ukraine. And then the second Israel gets attacked, they want to send the kitchen sink.
Well, Israel is a really long-standing ally.
I get that. But when that long-standing ally is committing war crimes...
I thought you said you wanted to tell the truth.
Israel was attacked.
Right, they were attacked, and that shouldn't have happened. And I think that it's under questionable circumstances as well, because even Charlie Kirk pointed out that when it happened, there was a 7-hour stop ordered by Netanyahu.
He didn't say that definitively, though.
Right, in which he was attacked right after, too. But
Charlie said, I wonder if someone gave a stand-down order, because how did they not know this?
Well, in Egypt warned them, apparently, too, but also...
Yeah, but Egypt said something big might happen, which is not a warning of anything. It's not. We don't know what the specific intelligence it was. And I also think it is tough, because there is... You can draw a benefit to Netanyahu specifically, and the stability of Israel from the crisis, a unifying crisis. We saw this with the Project for a New American Century back in like 2001 or whatever. A new Pearl Harbor would rally the American people. But I don't think that creates a circumstance in which the simple solution is Israel knew it was going to happen and let it happen, because the damage and devastation to Israel is 1,000 times greater than whatever they were experiencing.
Yeah, and I don't think I think it's definitely a corruption issue, and that was what Netanyahu was like under investigation for in the first place. He was under indictment, and he was about to face trial for it, and a war happens to happen right in his backyard, right when he needed it to. And I just think it's a little bit odd, and I think
this does not mean anything. This is your opinion.
I think that when you have Mossad, which is one of the world's most advanced intelligence agencies, how did they not pick up that their most, angered neighbor, it was not going to attack them? I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
No one is selling you. The Mossad did not know about the Yom Kippur War. The Mossad did not know about the massacre of the athletes at the Munich Olympics. The institution is still run by humans.
But I don't see any evidence to the contrary either. A portion of their identity rooted in which side is correct and which side is wrong.
True.
And so they'll come out and they'll assert one side has, it's funny because they're like, it's historically Palestine, therefore, Israel's the occupying force. And then the other.
The origin of the Philistines is the island of Crete and the Aegean Sea area bounded by Athens, Corinth and Ephesus. Crete was their home seaport base for the sea-oriented people who were likely traders and raiders. Pirates.
Other people are like, it was Judea and it was like Jerusalem, the Holy Land. Are you crazy?
Dead Sea Scrolls. But what makes that discovery so important?
It is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Qumran changed our understanding. It was like getting into a time machine and going back 1,000 years. The earliest manuscript we had was about 1000 AD. Suddenly they had manuscripts from the time of Jesus, in fact, to the 2nd century before the time of Jesus. And critical scholars said, well, when they get if we knew what was back then, we'd see how much the Bible changed. We went back and we saw how much the Bible stayed the same. In fact, at one particular spot, they found a complete scroll of Isaiah. In the one column at the next to the last line, chapter 39 ends. A lot of liberals say, chapter 40 is the start of second Isaiah. It's a whole different book. Chapter 40 started on the very last line, and there wasn't any indication of any change at all. It revolutionized scholarship.
Interesting. The Dead Sea Scrolls.
I certainly hope we know what side we're going to be on. I certainly hope we're going to be on the side of our allies.
Well, but our allies are committing war crimes.
What war crimes are they committing?
Well, if you're seeing the reports of white phosphorus being
the only two who accuse Israel of using white phosphorus are Hamas and Lebanon, the two enemies of Israel, and you want us to believe them. White phosphorus is a chemical waxy solid substance typically appearing yellowish or colorless, and some have described its odor as resembling garlic. It ignites instantly upon contact with oxygen. It is often used by militaries to illuminate battlefields, generate a smokescreen, and as an incendiary. Once ignited, white phosphorus is very difficult to extinguish. It sticks to surfaces like skin and clothing. White phosphorus is harmful by all routes of exposure. White phosphorus can cause deep and severe burns, penetrating even through bone, and has been known to reignite after initial treatment. After exposure, the priority is to stop the burning process. The smoke from burning phosphorus is also harmful to the eyes and respiratory tract due to the presence of phosphoric acids and phosphine. Gaza Strip population 2.048 million, area 140.9 square miles. We should have seen thousands of dead and hundreds of thousands of wounded if Israel had used white phosphorus.
So you're taking Hamas's word?
No.
Okay.
But I'm taking reports on the ground. I'm Jewish, and I just don't want anyone. I don't want atrocity being conducted against anybody. I don't want any more Israeli lives to be taken. I don't want any more Palestinian lives to be taken, especially innocent children that we're seeing. And so many times I'm saying this online, and people are saying, "Oh, so you're pro Hamas, or you're pro sympathizer for terrorists." No, not at all. But I don't
care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
I don't want any innocents to die, and I'm seeing white phosphorus being rained down, and 1 in 20 buildings in Gaza are leveled, and you're seeing more bombs being dropped on Gaza than were dropped in the entire first year in the Afghanistan war. And
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
And so and those are war crimes, okay? Because when you have
what is a war crime, though? What does that mean?
Collective punishment, defined by the Geneva Convention, is to punish an entire group of people, innocent people, for the crimes of, especially this, a terror group.
الو يابا يابا انا قاعد اكلمك من جوبا بسيم. افتح الواتس تبعه قول له وين شوف كيف القتله، شوف كيف قتلك بيدي يابا، ابنك قتل يهود، هاي دخلوا فلسطين يابا. الله اكبر، ربنا يحميك يا رب، ربنا يحميك يابا، ربنا يحميك يابا. قاعد اكلمك من جوال يهوديه قتلتها وقتلت جوزها، الله اكبر، الله اكبر ولله الحمد، الله اكبر ولله الحمد. يابا افتح الواتس شوف كيف قتلت يابا، افتح بتدفع عليك واتس قول له وين بروح. ربنا يوفقك بالسلامه يابا، جوبا بالسيم يابا، يابا والله 10 قتلت، 10 بيدي يابا، يابا على ايدي، اعطينا امي، اعطينا امي. يما يما يحميك يما، طول الليل ادعي لك. 10 بيدي يما، طول الليل 10 يما بيدي قتلت، طول الليل ادعي لك يما، طول الليل ادعي لك. ربنا يرحمك بالسلامه يما. ربنا يرحمك يما، بعمل لك تبص مباشر من جوا ادعي لك يما، طول الليل ادعي معاك يما. ربنا يحميك يما، اقتلك ربنا يحميك يما، خذ يما، ربنا يحميك. محمود يابا محمود انت وين؟ انا جوا مفلسين عليها، جوا قتلت 10 عليها، 10 بيدي، قاعد اكلمك من جوال يهوديه. كده 10 والله. وانت في زكيم انا في زكيم مو في زكيم. ربنا صوت الكاري. انا اول صخره بدات صوت الله عز وجل. انا اقول لك ارفع راسك يابا فوق. ارفع راسك يابا. انت في نص السكاري جوا، في نص السكاري جوا انت؟ جوا على المدينه. في النص السكاري جوا. شفت على الواتس شوف كيف الخطه تنكم على الشمال. شفت على الواتس تبعي. خلاص ارجعوا خلاص ارجعوا. ايش ارجعوا مش رجعوا؟ اما نصر اما الشهاده امي ولدتني عشان هذا الدين على مالك على وين ارجع؟ محمود ادعينا محمود، ادعينا. طب افتح على الواتساب شوف كيف القتله. شوف افتح على الواتساب افتح. دخيلك يا محمود زينا ربنا يوفقك يا رب. ربنا يثبتك يا رب.
The government, though, Hamas was elected to lead the government.
But there hasn't been a fair election in a decade.
And whose problem is it?
I think we pulled this up too. The recent surveys show that 51% of people in Gaza support Hamas.
Of the more than 2 million people living in Gaza, roughly half are under the age of 18. That's according to the United Nations. This means that all adults support Hamas.
Vested interest in the outcome in the region. I am not here to be like the history of Israel, or Israel this, Israel that, or Palestine this, Palestine that. I can tell you that on October 7th, a horrifying terror attack occurred in which Hamas tore through the fences, went in and started massacring civilians. Israel's released some of this footage. We got a bunch of this footage. And then what I end up hearing from people is, yeah, well, I bet Israel knew. And I'm like, how did we shift from, we quite literally have video of civilians being gunned down in their car and people burning down homes and children being killed. And the response immediately is, yeah, but I bet Netanyahu knew about it because he was doing it to benefit himself. And it's like, no. We are so far from that conversation. The conversation is right now, Israel was attacked. Innocent civilians were killed. Max Blumenthal came on and said Hamas targeted the civilians because it's opportunistic for them. It's part of their doctrine to target civilians to use as bargaining chips against Israel. And then after that is the beginning and opening premise, I have people complaining about Israel. And I'm like, yeah, Israel's probably doing a lot of bad stuff. This is what happens when you declare war on someone. Hamas declared war on Israel. Israel is the powerhouse with the fourth most powerful army, so they say, with support from Western powers, and Hamas decided to declare war. Now, a lot of people then go, yeah, well, it's an open air prison and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you lost me already. I am not Israel. I am not Palestine. I am the United States of America. I am an individual here, and I can't tell you about the history of the region. I can tell you, if they did not tear down those fences, storm in and massacre 1,000+ civilians, there would not be bombings in Gaza.
That's right.
Does not mean Israel should be indiscriminately targeting anybody. But then the argument from the pro-Israel side is we are not just trying to target and we are not trying to take out civilians. And then I can tell you this, after all the dust settles, Hamas and the left have lied about almost everything. So when someone comes and says Israel's engaged in war crimes, I go, hospital. And they go, yeah, but hospital was fake. They lied. It didn't happen. And we were so busy tricked into arguing over who did it, we never stopped to ask ourselves, did it even happen? And the answer was, it did not.
Well, from the beginning of the conflict, I've been saying nothing but I want peace. I condemn Hamas. I even went as far as saying F Hamas on my Twitter. But I think things still have to be pointed out. Israel is a formalized government. Palestine is not.
So Israel should let them murder its citizens?
Nobody takes the Palestinian government serious. So when bombs are being dropped on residential buildings in Gaza, you have to point that out. And if you say that Hamas is using those to protect whatever they have there inside, well, Israel's very capable of going in with insurgent teams and getting out or killing whoever they need to. The West.
So you want to send soldiers into traps? Do you want Israel to throw its soldiers to their deaths so as not to destroy buildings? Are you serious?
Anything. I could care less if it's Israeli or Palestinian.
And that's the problem. You don't care if it's people who want peace or people who want death.
It's about humanity, and people are being killed at rates you've never seen before. 2014, 88 Israelis died, and 2,329 Palestinians died. No one was calling it no one was calling, what's going on over there in the Middle East.
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
I don't think comparing the total number of dead answers the question of what, how, or why, and does not indicate justification or
I just don't like how the media covers it differently, because the first time you have an Israeli attack, then it's like,
either you're stupid or you're lying. Both are bad.
Like, oh my gosh, the world's ending World War III, but Palestinians have been being killed for years and you're having no coverage of it. And that statistic I just gave you, that's one Israeli for every 27 Palestinians.
But that doesn't mean anything.
Well, it does to me, because for a decade, 20 times more Palestinians have been killed. So
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
When you say why
all right,
these
so
people
but hold on. Who are these Palestinians?
They're innocents, civilians.
So this is the issue I take with it. I am the United States. I am not Israel or Palestine. I know that Hamas just invaded, killed a whole bunch of civilians.
Right.
Israel has responded. Hamas lied about a hospital being leveled and 500 people dying. Yeah. Totally fabricated.
Hamas is wrong.
And so now the premise, any point you initiate, Israel's blown up buildings. Lie. Not interested. Prove it. I took Hamas at face value. Boy, was that a mistake. When they said it was an Israeli airstrike, we were actually arguing like, wow, could it have been an airstrike? I mean, we don't even know. I mean, oh man. And then it was a Hamas rocket likely misfired, and then the payload dropped into a parking lot, killing people.
Well, that's the thing.
Agence France said it was 10 to 50 people.
And maybe it was a parking lot. We have no idea.
But that's
so look.
Those are the reports.
So then I hear, yeah, but what about white phosphorus, bro? I'm sorry, but the people marching through the street who are saying from the river to the sea, who lied about this hospital, get zero benefit of the doubt from me. So Israel should invade Gaza.
If they're going to defend themselves, they should not be bombing where there's a ton of civilian casualties.
They told everyone.
And now you have shown your true face. You don't say yes to invasion, and you say no to bombings. You want them to die quietly without reacting.
To leave, and Hamas told everyone to stay.
But I saw reports of people who are saying my mom is bedridden because she's sick and she can't get up. What are we supposed to do? Some people have no form of getting anywhere, and they're just supposed to see on Hebrew television that they're supposed to get up and go somewhere. I think that's unrealistic.
It's not just on television.
Well, where else is it?
I mean,
I don't like that American and British Western munitions are being used to kill innocent people.
The unemployment rate in Gaza is 47%, and more than 80% of its population lives in poverty, according to the United Nations. Estimates of its annual military budget range from $100 million to $350 million, according to Israeli and Palestinian sources. Since coming to power in the Gaza Strip 17 years ago, Hamas has filled its coffers with hundreds of millions in international aid. Hamas imposes unofficial fees on smuggled goods and other activities for a combined income of up to $450 million per year. Hamas also has real estate and other investments around the globe. The U.S. gave Hamas millions, which they used to buy weapons. I don't hear you complaining about that.
Why won't any of their allies take in refugees from
Because I think
Gaza?
Well, King Abdullah from Jordan said that he doesn't want to do it because he sees it as kind of enabling Israel to take over Palestine.
Black September, also known as the Jordanian Civil War, was an armed conflict between Jordan, led by King Hussein, and the Palestine Liberation Organization. In 1968, which led to an increase in Arab support for Fedayeen. The power of the PLO grew, and in early 1970 groups within the PLO began calling for the overthrow of Jordan's Hashemite monarchy, which led to violent clashes in June 1970. Hussein hesitated to oust them from the country. On September 17, 1970, the Jordanian army surrounded all the cities with a significant factor presence, including Amman and Irbid, and began shelling Fedayeen positions, which operated from Palestinian refugee camps. The next day, 10,000 Syrian soldiers carry the Palestinian Liberation Army. The markings began with the invasion in the advance towards Irbid, which the Fadain captured and declared a liberated city. On September 22nd, the Syrians withdrew from Irbid after suffering heavy losses to a coordinated air-ground attack by the Jordanians. The growing pressure from other Arab countries, such as Iraq, led Hussein to stop his attack. On October 13th, he signed an agreement with Arafat to regulate the presence of the Fadain in Jordan. However, the Jordanian army attacked again in January 1971, and the Palestinians were driven out of the cities, one by one, until 2,000 Fadain surrendered after being crowned during the July 17th Ajloun offensive, which officially marked the end of the conflict. And that's the truth why he doesn't want them.
I'm just genuinely curious why people are so fervent, why there's so much fervor over Israel-Palestine.
I know. I couldn't tell you. As a Jew, I don't want to see my fellow Jew die, and I think it's sick. I thought after the Hamas attacks, all the carnage that was left, the pictures that you saw on Twitter, like I was telling you before the show, you're seeing nothing but graphic footage all around Twitter. The carnage that was left behind by Hamas is despicable. And the consequence for that should be they should be killed. But it, again,
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
I just miss Trump on this.
I mean, sure. I mean, but if you've got 51% of Gaza saying they support Hamas, and even in the United States, these people are chanting from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Peace is not an option. I mean, peace is the preferred outcome, but it's not an option when you have one side saying from the river to the sea.
Yeah, but the majority of those folks, at least I like to think, are not going to go out and actually plant a bomb. Like,
believing is not knowing, but you don't care what happens.
I think that justifying any war on Gaza because those folks are so, critical against Israel, that
critical? Is supporting and helping terrorists critical?
That doesn't justify killing them.
That's not it. That's Hamas using schools and hospitals to store weapons and to launch rockets, and then attacking Israeli civilians because, as that Yale professor said, settlers aren't civilians. So to the people, to 51% of people in Gaza, let's just say 51% supporting Hamas, anyone, some of those people were tourists. Fair game, kill them all. That's what they're doing. That's horrifying. Let me ask you, what do you think would happen if the barrier fencing around Gaza was completely removed and Israel just said anyone in Gaza can do whatever they want? They can freely travel.
Well, I mean, that kind of exists now. They're able to go back and forth for jobs.
No. I'm saying the barrier. What would happen if the barrier was completely removed, security around the Gaza Strip was removed, and Israel said to all of the people, you can freely move about all of Israel? What would happen?
I'm sure there would probably be conflict going both ways.
Both ways?
Yes, both ways, because I've seen.
You are just an evil person. There is no other description.
Hamas and Palestinians.
You think Israelis in like Tel Aviv will march into Gaza with guns, start killing civilians?
I think violence will be conducted either way. I think that I've seen IDF soldiers treating Palestinian kids very badly on the streets, and
this is what Hamas did and will do, eh?
Sometimes they brag about, doing brutal things to them. I think it would go both ways, regardless of this.
Do you think the people in the Gaza Strip, would they leave the Gaza Strip? If the barrier is removed and security is removed and they say you can freely move about
I don't think a lot of them would.
They would just stay there. So the issue, I suppose, is leftists are calling it an open-air prison where people are trapped and stripped of resources.
Well, in a way they are, and that's another war crime you mentioned because...
So it's a war crime that they're trapped in there.
Well, it's a war crime what's happening now where electricity, water, food, and aid is being cut off.
But they can just leave.
They can get all this from Egypt and work in Egypt, but Egypt does not want to open their border with them.
When you cut off electricity...
Who's giving them the electricity?
Well, Israel.
So they're obligated to give free electricity to people of Gaza?
Well, when they oversee certain supply routes, they're able to cut off food and aid.
Under what obligation do the Israelis have to give a resource to the people of Gaza? And how is it a war crime if they decide to stop supplying a resource?
It's a war crime because those routes, those electricity routes, those trading routes where they get their food, they get their water, Go through Israel.
I'm not sure I follow criticism of Israel in this line of thinking. So if people can come and go as they please, but they don't want to live in a tent city, so they would choose to live somewhere with no electricity, it's a war crime?
Well, no, but you got to look at it like, let's make it out like it's here. They don't really see Israel having any claim over the land.
Right. They don't want Israel to exist.
Right.
Right.
That's not okay. However,
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
And so finally Trump just ignored them, and they don't like that either, and that's when they lashed out and killed 1,400 people, including a whole bunch of civilians, children. And so now you're saying that there should be a ceasefire because Israel shouldn't be fighting against the people who are actively seeking their extermination.
The problem is there are Jews and Israeli Jews who believe that Palestine shouldn't exist.
And these citizens are still not killing and raping Palestinians.
And I'm not saying this is on Israelis' hands or anything like that, but I'm saying that Israel's not innocent in all of this.
I don't think
that's coming from a Jew.
I don't think Israel's innocent. I just think that Hamas didn't have to choose to go in there and kill a bunch of people.
Well, Israel didn't have to choose to kill thousands and thousands of Palestinians over the course of the last decade, too, 20 times.
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
More than Israelis, but they did.
Why?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, there you go.
As Netanyahu. Yeah, but the problem is Israel's a formalized government and Palestine's not. And
why is that a problem?
Because Israel is an ally, and when those are American munitions being thrown over the borders and onto Palestinian innocent people, that implicates us in some of that guilt.
It's collateral damage. It's bad.
I don't look at innocent children dying and call that collateral damage.
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it.
Hamas is evil. Israel is a spattering mix of government institutions, corrupt, wealthy individuals, good civilians who are trying to live peacefully. Gaza specifically seems to be 50-50 between Hamas and people who want to be left alone, which creates a very pressing challenge.
Yeah.
The issue I see here is you can't negotiate with evil. No. I mean, like, you can try to negotiate with evil. You can desperately beg evil for peace, and then they'll agree with you and then turn around and put the knife in your back.
And we've got to reinforce God back in our society, back in our schools. We cannot have our textbooks permeated by any type of propaganda that's foreign. We need Christ back in the schools. And I'm saying that as a Messianic Jew.
You can't be a Christian Jew like you can't be a Christian Muslim or a right-wing leftist. You're like a divorced man who still wears his wedding ring. Do you agree with my comments? If no or yes, leave a comment. Subscribe. And like.